Welcome to the Deep Dive. We gather stacks of sources, articles, research, all sorts of notes, and we really boil them down for you.
Yeah, we try to pull out the most important bits, the key insight.
Exactly. It's your shortcut to being genuinely well-informed, maybe with a few surprising facts thrown in, and hopefully enough humor to keep you listening.
Hopefully.
Today, we're diving into a world that, well, it absolutely glitters. Diamonds, champagne, the works.
But it often hides something much darker underneath.
We're talking about the Real Housewives franchises.
It's a world that's, it's held audiences captive for years now. It showcases what looks like the absolute peak of opulent living.
Totally. We mean designer clothes everywhere, these incredibly lavish vacations, exotic places.
Social calendars just packed with over-the-top events.
And you watch it. You really do. And you can't help but wonder, how on earth do they live like that?
Yeah.
It projects this incredibly aspirational image.
Yeah, it does.
And that's pretty much our mission today. We're going to pull back that, perfectly manicured curtain.
Get behind the scenes a bit.
Yeah, and unpack the complex, often really messy relationship between reality TV fame and, well, financial reality.
Because, as we've seen happen again and again, that shiny, glittering facade of wealth, it often hides some deep financial struggles.
Serious legal problems.
Oh, absolutely. And just a surprising amount of pressure that comes with living your life or, a very carefully curated version of it on camera.
We're here to try and uncover the true costs, the real consequences of that lifestyle.
And to do that, we've looked at a whole range of sources. We've got detailed financial articles breaking down income, debt.
We've dug into some really in-depth legal analyses of specific cases.
Reviewed personal accounts from the cast members themselves, which is always interesting.
And even sifted through, social media commentary, fan theories, people trying to piece it all together.
It gives us, hopefully, a pretty comprehensive look at this phenomenon, which is, let's face it, both fascinating and sometimes quite troubling.
Okay, so let's start unpacking this. We should begin with the economics of it all, the economics of illusion, maybe. How these stars try to keep up that reality TV facade.
Right, because one thing that's often overlooked is how reality TV can become this sort of shiny lure.
Especially for people who might already be in some financial hot water.
Exactly. You'd think they'd want to stay away from the cameras, right?
Logically, yes. But the perceived benefits, they must be huge. What are those draws?
Well, it's a bit of a paradox, isn't it? For a lot of them, it's the hope of, decent compensation from the filming contracts themselves.
A Bravo paycheck.
Right. But maybe even more significant is the potential for those lucrative endorsement deals once you hit a certain level of fame.
Becoming a brand.
Becoming a brand, exactly. And for some, it's also an opportunity to, pretend to a different reality. Or as one source put it, to put out a narrative that the couples are doing fine and keeping up with the Joneses, even when, behind closed doors, their finances are anything but stable.
So it's strategic, almost like a gamble to project success, hoping it either turns things around or just delays the inevitable crash.
It can be. Sometimes maybe even a desperate move.
And the pressure then to perform that wealth, it's not just about wanting nice things, is it? It feels almost contractual.
It does, yeah. Like an unwritten rule. You have to keep the viewers voyeuristically satisfied, as one article termed it.
That's a great phrase for it. It's at the core of the Housewives universe, isn't it, that voyeurism? So how does that pressure actually show up on screen? What do they have to do?
Oh, it absolutely becomes an expectation. The whole show hinges on that display of opulence. Viewers expect it.
And that expectation translates into real, often huge financial demands.
Definitely. Take luxury clothing. The pressure on these women to have these massive, constantly changing wardrobes is just immense.
We get these crazy stories like Erica Jane's notorious, what was it, $40,000 a month?
$40,000 a month, yeah, on glam and fashion. And unlike, say, actors on a scripted show, these women often don't have a costume department handing them outfits.
Right, they're on their own.
Pretty much. Former housewife Alex McCord claimed that a lot of them actually resort to borrowing and returning items.
That makes sense.
Because it's just not realistic, is it? To actually own that many high-end pieces, especially when the unspoken rule is you can never repeat an outfit.
Never repeat an outfit. And that feels like it taps into broader trends, doesn't it? Like the whole fast fashion thing.
Oh, absolutely. The fashion industry now, some say it has 52 micro seasons a year. New stuff constantly hitting the shelves.
Wow, 52. Not just spring, summer, fall, winter anymore.
Not at all. And this creates pressure everywhere. There was a survey, I think back in 2017, found that 41% of 18 to 25-year-olds felt pressured to wear a different outfit every single time they went out.
41%. That's huge. It's like this funhouse mirror effect you mentioned. The housewives' on-screen lives aren't just reflecting aspirations, they're actively inflating them.
Yeah, distorting expectations for regular people.
So are we seeing a whole generation chasing this, like, unsustainable illusion? What's the real fallout economically, psychologically, when people try to keep up with these TV lives without the TV paycheck?
Well, that's the really damaging part, isn't it? It starts to normalize a level of consumption that's just, it's completely out of reach for most people.
And that breeds insecurity.
Totally. A feeling of inadequacy, like what you have isn't good enough. We're seeing more financial anxiety, definitely more pressure to perform, for social media.
Keeping up with the Instagram Joneses now, too.
Exactly. And ultimately just this growing gap between aspirational lifestyles and actual sustainable financial health. It's not just about spending, it's shaping a whole cultural mindset around wealth that's built on, well, pretty shaky ground.
And then you add the vacations on top of that.
Oh, the lavish vacations. They look like something out of a movie on screen.
But the reality is often different.
Very different. Bravo often foots the bill for those big famous cast trips.
Like the Dubai trip for Beverly Hills. That was insane.
That's a perfect example. They stayed in the Royal Bridge Suite. Reportedly cost something like $35,000 a night.
$35,000 per night.
Per night. Yet, on the show, how is it framed as being within Kyle Richards' budget?
Right, that's what's so striking. When a $35,000 a night suite is presented that way, what does that do to viewer perception? Like, what's a normal girls' trip supposed to look like after seeing that?
It completely warps it. It makes you think spending that kind of money is somehow achievable or standard for a fun getaway.
When really it's production paying, maybe even hotel sponsorships involved.
Exactly. And that feeds directly into that broader influencer culture we see everywhere. People traveling well beyond their means to pay for it, just for the perfect Instagram shot.
It messes with our whole understanding of what a normal travel budget even looks like.
It really does. Which brings us to another key point. What happens when these reality stars actually do have something to hide? Financially, legally.
Because there's a huge risk involved in putting your life out there like that.
Massive risk. Fellow castmates, they're incredibly good at sensing when there's a lack of transparency.
They smell blood in the water.
They really do. And they are often inclined to dig further, which inevitably leads to on-screen drama.
And that drama often ends up exposing real-life legal and financial problems that maybe they were trying to keep quiet.
It happens constantly.
So in that situation, when you're caught in a financial mess, is all that added media attention from being on TV? Is it a benefit or a burden?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It feels like it could swing wildly either way.
Yeah, on one hand, it's this harsh spotlight, right? It could make things worse, speed up a downfall.
But on the other hand, it keeps them relevant, it generates buzz, maybe even some sympathy or new opportunities arise out of it.
Like a comeback narrative, a book deal, and new business.
Exactly. It's a really tricky space to navigate, as one source put it.
Okay, so when that facade cracks, the drama often brings these real-life legal and financial issues crashing onto our screens.
And that leads us right into, well, a gallery of some of the most iconic financial scandals that have rocked these shows. It illustrates this exact dynamic.
And if we look at the big picture, the Real Housewives of Orange County, there's a definite pattern there, isn't there?
A very clear recurring pattern. Time after time, you see married couples on the series filing for divorce amid financial struggles.
It almost makes you wonder if going on reality TV is sometimes like a last-ditch effort to keep up the illusion of wealth and stability.
And it often seems to backfire spectacularly.
That franchise really does seem like a breeding ground for financial and marital collapse. We saw it with Tammy Knickerbocker. Her bankruptcy fallout from way back in 2000 was documented, then her divorce.
Then Tamra Judge. Her divorce from Simon Barney played out right on camera in 2010, and then he filed for bankruptcy later.
More recently, Bronwyn Wyndham Burke's divorce from Sean in 2022. She claimed he emptied their joint accounts.
While he claimed he was just settling family debts, always two sides or more.
And Noella Birdner.
Ah.
That was dramatic. Her husband just left her, right? Amid claims he owed millions to the IRS in California.
About $5.8 million, reportedly. Yeah. These aren't just like one-off incidents. It's a really consistent, troubling theme on RHOC.
But maybe the most infamous saga, when you think financial and legal trouble playing out publicly, has to be New Jersey.
Oh, RHONJ, yeah. Teresa and Joe Giudice, their case is legendary in this world.
accused of mail, wire, and bankruptcy fraud in 2013. Can you just briefly explain what those mean for listeners?
Sure. So, mail fraud is basically using the postal service as part of a scheme to defraud someone. Wire fraud is similar, but using electronic communications, emails, phone calls, wire transfers.
Got it. And bankruptcy fraud.
That involves lying or hiding assets when you're filing for bankruptcy, making false statements, concealing property, that kind of thing.
And even though Teresa still maintains her innocence.
To this day, yeah.
Yeah.
But they both pled guilty in the end.
Teresa served, what, 11 months in federal prison?
Yep, 11 months. And Joe got 41 months and then was deported back to Italy.
What's just wild about this whole thing is the paradox, right? The scandal itself ended up being incredibly lucrative and arguably beneficial to the Giudice family brand.
It's bizarre, isn't it? Teresa's book hits the New York Times bestseller list. She remains this absolute central figure on the show.
But you still hear her say things like, she should be much further in life, but everything came crashing down because of the legal stuff. It's like this tainted success.
A very bittersweet victory, if you can even call it that. It really makes you question the true price of that kind of fame.
And the financial drama hasn't stopped there for Teresa, has it? Her new husband, Louis Ruelas.
Oh, Louis. Yeah, his financial issues seem to be ongoing. Back in 2022, one of his companies filed for bankruptcy, which led to a lawsuit.
And more recently.
Another business he's linked to is being sued for harassment over cold calls. Plus, he was personally sued by an ex-girlfriend for harassment, which he then countersued. It's complicated.
And didn't Margaret Joseph say something on camera about him?
She did. She alleged he pissed all of Teresa's money away. So yeah, the legal troubles seem to follow him around.
It just never ends in Jersey. And then there are Jacqueline and Chris Larita.
Also from RHONJ, they recently got hit with a huge judgment, right, $760,000 for ignoring a lawsuit.
And they had issues before that, too. Chris's clothing company, Signature Apparel, went bankrupt way back in 2009.
And there were accusations of false pretenses around that bankruptcy, suggesting maybe it wasn't entirely above board.
And Jacqueline herself, by 2016, owed over $300,000 in back taxes.
I remember seeing reports Chris was trying to sell stuff on Facebook Marketplace in 2019 to scrape money together.
Yeah, and fans, you know how fans are? They were quick to point out the karma because Jacqueline had laughed at Teresa's financial problems earlier.
And the classic comment, they can afford plastic surgery, but not their debts.
That perceived hypocrisy really gets people talking, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It raises questions about authenticity, priorities.
Definitely. And let's not forget Danielle Staub, another Jersey OG. She also had a long history of money problems.
Sued for unpaid rent.
Filed for bankruptcy with liabilities reportedly hitting $1.9 million.
Wow.
Eventually court-ordered out of her house, owed money to her ex after her third marriage. It's another recurring theme.
Okay, let's shift coasts to the high-stakes legal dramas of Beverly Hills. RHOBH.
Where the money is bigger and maybe the falls are harder.
And Erica Jane Girardi's situation is probably one of the most shocking, most talked about examples.
Absolutely. Her husband, Tom Girardi, this really prominent, powerful attorney, accused of embezzling client funds.
For personal spending, right, including money meant for victims of that awful Lion Air crash.
Exactly. Just horrific allegations. And Erica filed for divorce literally 1 month before the whole scandal blew up publicly.
The timing definitely raised eyebrows.
Massively. And her legal battles have been incredibly complex. She was dismissed from the main embezzlement case in 2022.
And found innocent in a separate $5 million fraud suit later that year.
Right. But she's still facing an ongoing lawsuit over disputed credit card charges from her former costume designer as of early 2024.
And the perception, especially given that famous $40,000 a month glam squad.
And the incredibly lavish lifestyle displayed on the show.
Was that the money funding it all was, well, stolen thing money, as it was put so bluntly on the show.
That became a huge, explosive storyline and really fueled intense public debate about what she knew and when.
Then you have Dort Kemsley and her husband, PK. They've kind of become known for, let's say, horrible spending habits.
And a seemingly endless stream of financial issues. Dort's swimwear line, remember that?
Yeah.
Allegedly failed to pay back a $205,000 loan.
And PK.
Allegedly owed $1 million to a business partner. Famously owed over $3.5 million to the Bellagio Casino in Vegas.
Which led to bankruptcy filings in the UK.
And reports of $1.3 million in U.S. tax liens as of 2021. It feels like a constant cycle of debt and legal problems for them, always bubbling up as a storyline.
And it really does. And Kim Richards, Kyle's sister, she's had money problems for a long time too, hasn't she?
Yeah, long-standing issues. Owed the IRS nearly $120,000 in back taxes in 2018.
And wasn't there something with her dog?
Oh, right. She was forced to pay over $266,000 after her dog attacked a neighbor, and apparently she ignored the lawsuit that followed.
Yikes. And remember that fight she had with Kyle on camera about their late mother's house?
Yes, that was clearly tied into financial stress, disputes over family assets, just underlying desperation.
And a really tragic case from Beverly Hills is Taylor Armstrong.
Oh, absolutely tragic.
Mm.
Her late husband, Russell Armstrong, left behind just a devastating financial mess after his death.
That's totaling, what, $1.5 million?
Something like that. And Taylor was forced to sell off major assets to cover it all. Even her massive 10-carat engagement ring.
Just awful.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is she later popped up on RHOC as a friend.
Right. It shows how the show can sometimes be this weird landing spot or a platform for a new chapter, even after such profound personal and financial trauma, almost like a strange kind of refuge.
Moving on to Salt Lake City, RHOSLC. That franchise brought us maybe the most dramatic, like, direct on-screen criminality.
You're talking about Jen Shah.
Exactly. Her arrest for conspiracy to commit wire fraud in connection with telemarketing and conspiracy to commit money laundering.
It was famously caught by the Bravo cameras in that dramatic sequence on the highway.
Which basically guaranteed her legal battle would become the central storyline for the show.
Absolutely. Even though she eventually pled guilty and is facing huge restitution payments up to $9.5 million.
Can you quickly explain restitution again?
Sure. Restitution is basically court-ordered repayment. The person convicted has to pay back the victims for the damages or losses caused by their crime.
Got it. And Jen Shah's case really highlights this stark societal difference, doesn't it?
It really does. The Financial Diet made a really pointed observation about this.
They said something like, a poor person who commits a crime is basically derailing their entire life.
While for a person with the appropriate funds, it can simply be a little oops footnote on the Wikipedia page.
That's powerful. And the show, maybe unintentionally, kind of presents this disparity in a way that could almost normalize it.
Right. It's a chilling thought, really, how justice can look so different depending on your bank account.
Okay, let's round up a few other notable cases from across the franchises. Kim Zolciak-Biermann from Atlanta, RHOA.
Yes, the mansion drama. Her multi-million-dollar home allegedly went into foreclosure over a $300,000 loan.
It was later settled, right? But she went hard on Instagram denying it.
Oh, yeah, very defiant. Said something like, if you guys think I would let my home go for $257,000, you're an idiot, okay? Just pure deflection and narrative control.
Then Sonja Morgan from New York,
Yeah.
RHONY,
Yeah.
often portrayed as house poor.
Right, owning a valuable asset, that townhouse, but lacking liquid cash. She ended up filing for bankruptcy.
With massive debt.
Nearly $20 million in debt, reportedly. A lot of it stemmed from a failed movie production venture.
The one with John Travolta.
That's the one. It led to a $7 million lawsuit judgment against her. Shows how one bad business deal can completely wipe you out, even if you look like you're living the high life.
Karen Huger from Potomac, RHOP. Questions about her finances, too.
Yep. Reports of owing the IRS millions back in 2017. She controversially sold her Potomac home for less than it seemed to be worth.
And eventually admitted the truth about the tax issues was somewhere in the middle. A classic reality TV non-answer.
Pretty much. And finally, Lynn Curtin from RHOC again. Remember her very public eviction back in 2010?
It was rough. Her husband Frank just admitted on camera, I screwed up.
And Lynn filed for divorce, then bankruptcy, claiming she had only $100 in her bank account and owed the IRS $30,000.
It's just this common thread, isn't it? These very public financial implosions with the cameras rolling to capture every painful moment.
It really is. Which leads us into trying to navigate the nuance of it all. Accountability, trauma, public perception. It gets complicated.
And the Caroline Manzo versus Brandy Glanville lawsuit is a perfect example of that complexity. Deeply conflicting stories.
Extremely conflicting. Caroline is suing Bravo, alleging a toxic work environment and claiming sexual assault by Brandy during the filming of Ultimate Girls Trip.
And her allegations are specific, right?
Very specific and very severe. She alleges Brandy was intoxicated, engaged in unwanted physical contact, kissing, mounting her.
And that graphic bathroom incident where Caroline reportedly screamed, "Help, help, help!" while feeling pinned.
Right. And Caroline also claims this incident triggered dormant and horrific memories of a sexual assault she suffered when she was just 7 years old.
Now, the validity of being triggered by trauma, that's absolutely real and shouldn't be questioned.
Absolutely not. But the debate centers on whether Brandy's specific actions in that context legally constituted assault, especially given the conflicting narratives and the nuances around consent and intent in that environment.
And that's where it gets incredibly murky and interesting. Brandy's legal team is actively trying to get the raw footage released,
Yeah, they want the footage and audio subpoenaed, believing it will actually vindicate her.
whereas Caroline's lawsuit, some people interpret that as an attempt to block the footage from ever airing.
And you can see why that might raise a red flag for some observers. If you're making serious claims, wouldn't you want the evidence out there?
It seems logical. Plus, those initial leaks from production sources claim Caroline was merely triggered and wasn't the one initially claiming sexual harassment. It's just messy.
Extremely messy, and the witness accounts, or lack thereof, add another layer of confusion.
All the other cast members who were there,
Yeah.
Gretchen Rossi, Alex McCord, Eva, Phaedra, Vicky Camille, largely silent or giving conflicting stories.
And what's really striking is Alex McCord, who supposedly unlocked the bathroom door for a distraught Caroline, apparently still interacts positively with Brandy on social media.
That's odd, right? It makes you seriously question what actually happened in that room. And why didn't producers step in sooner if things were escalating on camera with mics on?
Big questions. Plus, the fact remains, no criminal charges have been filed. And Bravo's own internal investigation was deemed inconclusive.
It just leaves everything hanging, fueling speculation and this broader debate about accountability.
Exactly. How much is about personal accountability for our own uftering actions, as some might put it?
Versus how much responsibility does production bear for, potentially encouraging drinking or creating volatile situations for ratings?
It's a core ethical question for reality TV. We see examples like Margaret Josephs from NJ or Lala Kent from Vanderpump Rules who choose not to drink alcohol despite it being everywhere on their shows.
Right, showing that personal choice is possible within that environment.
It demonstrates that boundaries can exist. It also brings up the slut-shaming argument often directed at Brandy in these discussions.
How so?
Well, some suggest that internalized biases against Brandy's more provocative persona might make it easier to believe Caroline. It highlights how public perception isn't just about facts, but also about preconceived notions of character and sexuality.
That's a really important point. And shifting gears slightly, another interesting blame game played out recently with Denise Richards.
Ah, yes, the herbal chef incident.
Yeah.
Denise claimed she was unknowingly drugged with cannabis at Kyle Richards' dinner party.
Despite Bravo showing those graphics on screen saying 0 THC in her system.
Right. And the herbal chef who cooked the food, he went public, very forcefully, called Denise a damn liar.
Accused her of being absolutely obliterated when she arrived, suggesting she had deep-seated issues. Ouch.
Yeah, it was fiery. But it illustrates again how reality stars sometimes try to deflect responsibility and how the public often wants to assign blame even when the facts are contested or unclear.
And it loops back to the idea of reality TV's role in all this. Does being on the show make existing legal troubles worse?
Or does it, weirdly, offer this platform for redemption arcs that wouldn't exist otherwise?
For some, like Jen Shaw maybe, the scandal itself becomes an opportunity for more screen time, more attention, and more notoriety.
Which, disturbingly, seems to be the most valuable form of currency on the show. More drama equals more airtime equals more relevance.
It's this perpetual cycle of drama, exposure, legal issues, financial strain, all playing out for us to watch.
Which brings us to the financial realities beyond the screen. Specifically, let's talk about gray divorce.
This growing trend of people aged 50 or older getting divorced. Apparently, they're now the largest age demographics of people getting divorced, which is surprising.
It is surprising. And while divorce is always tough, financially and emotionally, later life divorce brings some very definite differences and significant issues, especially being closer to retirement.
The stakes are just higher then, aren't they? Less time to recover financially.
Exactly. There's very little margin for error when you're dividing assets that late in the game. It directly impacts what should be your retirement years.
So what are the key financial hurdles if you're facing a gray divorce? Let's start with dividing the assets.
That's the fundamental reality, isn't it? You take one household's worth of assets, split it in two. The standard of living for both people inevitably goes down.
Especially when there's less opportunity to go out and earn more or increase your income to build it back up.
Right, and the court's job isn't to magically make the money stretch further. They don't have a way to maximize that money or do anything other than split it up.
It's just a harsh mathematical reality.
Yeah, so harsh that in some rare but documented cases, couples actually choose to remain together living under the same roof.
Even after divorcing.
Yeah, sharing expenses but living separate lives purely because the financial hit of setting up two separate households would be too severe, especially with today's housing costs and interest rates.
Wow. That speaks volumes about the financial pressure. What about Social Security? That seems like a big one for older couples.
Absolutely critical. There's this crucial 10-year rule. You have to have been married for at least 10 years to be eligible to claim Social Security benefits based on your ex-spouse's record, assuming their benefit is higher than yours.
Only 10 years. So people might actually time their divorce filings around that.
We've literally seen couples strategically delay filing for a few months, maybe even a year, just to hit that 10-year mark. It can make a significant difference to retirement income.
Okay, healthcare costs. That's a huge one for anyone over 40, let alone someone going through a divorce later in life.
Huge is an understatement. They are offensively expensive. Think about COBRA, right? If you lose employer coverage, COBRA lets you keep it, but...
Only for 3 years, Max.
And it's exorbitantly expensive because you're paying the full premium yourself, plus an admin fee.
And buying private insurance through the Affordable Care Act, the ACA.
Older individuals face much higher premiums just based on age, often for coverage that's not very good. That old loophole of getting legally separated just to stay on an ex's employer plan, that's closing up in a lot of places.
So healthcare can genuinely become one of the single largest expenses monthly for older divorcees.
Easily, it's a massive financial burden to plan for.
What about alimony in retirement itself? We hear lifetime alimony, but you're saying that's not really accurate.
It's largely a misnomer, yeah. Alimony or spousal support is often calculated based on the paying spouse's current income.
So if they retire and their income drops significantly,
then the alimony payments can often be subject to a downward modification or sometimes even a termination.
that's a huge potential shock for the person relying on those payments.
Absolutely huge. It really underscores the importance of planning. We always advise looking into life insurance policies to secure those alimony or child support obligations in case the paying spouse dies prematurely.
Makes sense. And dividing retirement accounts, 401ks, IRAs, pensions, how is that different in a gray divorce compared to, say, divorcing at 35?
Big difference. At 35, you still have decades to potentially rebuild those accounts, benefit from compounding growth.
But later in life?
Later in life, those funds are usually being drawn down to live on, not replenished. That age range, say 50 to 65, that's crunch time for maximizing savings before retirement hits.
And people are living longer too, right?
Much longer, often well into their 90s. But the paradox is they often don't plan that their life post-working is going to be as long and wonderful as it is.
So they underestimate how much money they'll actually need.
Exactly, which leads to significant shortfalls. This is precisely why having a good financial advisor is almost non-negotiable in a gray divorce. There's just no margin for error.
And we saw the complexity of this play out with Shannon Beador from RHOC. Her divorce was a long and financially draining legal battle.
Right. She ended up getting a $1.4 million settlement and $10,000 a month in support.
Which sounds substantial, but she still sued her own divorce attorney afterwards for inadequate representation.
It just shows how incredibly complex, emotionally taxing, and financially draining these later life divorces can be, no matter the settlement amount.
Before we move on, you mentioned financial expert Jennifer Lee's concept of a family love letter. What's that about?
Yeah, it's a really nice idea. It's not a legal document, but more of a personal letter to your loved ones. It communicates your values, your wishes, financial expectations, where important documents are located.
Sort of a roadmap for them.
Exactly, to ensure they're protected and clear on things if something happens to you. It's about proactive communication to hopefully avoid some of these pitfalls and conflicts down the road.
Makes a lot of sense. Okay, the drama never stops. Let's hit the latest headlines, because the scandals just keep rolling. Starting back in Orange County, season 18, Jennifer Pedranti.
Oh yeah, her first season back is already kicking off with a bang. Her divorce has reportedly turned contentious.
And she's facing immediate financial trouble.
Big trouble. Sued for $133,000 in unpaid rent for her yoga studio. And now she's facing eviction from her rental home because of it. It's playing out right now.
But the really wild part is the connection to her fiancé, Ryan Boyajian.
This is where it gets completely unexpected. Ryan has been publicly named as the bookmaker's associate.
The associate of the bookmaker involved in the massive Shohei Ohtani gambling scandal.
The very same one. He allegedly received wired stolen money from Ohtani's bank account to pay off the gambling debts of Ohtani's interpreter, Ippei Mizuhara.
That is insane. What's his status in that investigation?
Reports say Ryan is cooperating fully with the federal authorities and has been granted immunity for his testimony.
Wow. And this is all bleeding onto the show.
Oh, yeah. Jennifer's financial problems are directly impacting her co-star Gina Kirschenheiter, who happens to be her real estate agent now. And there's drama around Ryan suggesting Jennifer and her kids just move in with him amidst all this chaos.
It just perfectly reinforces that theme, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Bravo celebrities turning to the show to project confidence while their real lives are imploding, financially or legally.
Textbook example playing out right now.
And also on RHOC, Alexis Bellino is back as a friend of.
She is. And let's not forget, she had her own past financial struggles. Her family home went into foreclosure back in 2010.
Her husband, Jim, tried to downplay it, right? Claimed it was blown out of proportion.
He did, but ultimately they had to do a short sale on the house, selling it for less than they owed the bank, resulting in a loss.
But now she's reportedly doing well financially and single.
Apparently financially secure and has ditched Jim, as the reports say. And she's already stirring the pot, sending messages to Shannon Beador-like.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Question me. I'll give you the truth that you don't want to hear. Hashtag bring it. Hashtag truth. Hashtag Jews will bring a love. Hashtag Jesus Barbie. Hashtag hot pink. Classic Housewives.
Absolutely classic. And talk about legal sensitivities. Jeff Lewis apparently pulled out of filming a scene with Shannon and Alexis.
Right.
Because of Bravo's indemnification clauses in the release form he had to sign. Essentially, those clauses protect Bravo from liability if something goes wrong. He clearly didn't want to get legally entangled in whatever drama or potential lawsuits might arise between them.
Smart move, probably. Okay, back to Jersey.
Yeah.
The legal threads there just never seem to end.
Tell me about it. Luis Reales is still dealing with legal stuff. He tried to get his ex-fiancée Vanessa Reiser's attorney disqualified from her lawsuit against him.
Wow.
By involving Kim D, a former cast member, claiming it created a conflict of interest. The judge didn't buy it, denied his motion.
And the fan reaction.
Continued fan outrage, really. People feeling like his whole peace and love persona on the show is constantly undermined by these aggressive legal tactics and business dealings coming to light.
And Dolores Catania got scammed.
Yeah, pretty shocking. Apparently scammed out of $50,000 by a stylist while she was away filming Traitors Season 3.
$50,000. How?
Unauthorized charges for luxury goods, beauty products appeared on her credit card. Now she's battling American Express to get reimbursed for that loss, which happened while she was working for Bravo, essentially.
That's rough. And Melissa and Joe Gorga have a new lawsuit, too.
They do. They're suing their town, the borough of Franklin Lakes.
Over what?
Alleging the town wrongfully stalled or withheld a filming permit for their house. They wanted to film something described as Bravo's upcoming wife swap, the Real Housewives edition.
A wife swap. Seriously.
That's what the reports say. And apparently it came with an official spin-off contract for the Gorgas, so they felt the town was blocking a major opportunity.
This also connects back to that whole wedding snub drama, doesn't it?
It does. Kim D floated the theory that Melissa and Joe skipped Teresa and Luce's wedding back in August 2022 because they thought Teresa was getting her own spin-off.
So they figured they wouldn't have to deal with her ass anymore, as Kim D put it.
That was the alleged thinking. And Kim D claims that snub and the perceived social media digs around it really pissed off Andy Cohen and significantly damaged their relationship with Teresa, personally and professionally.
It's all just so interconnected and layered in that world. Constant drama.
Which brings us back to the big question. So what does all this mean for us watching it all?
Yeah, what have we actually learned about the true cost of this kind of fame on reality TV? It seems pretty clear that the glittering image comes at a steep price.
A very steep price. The pressure to keep up that image, it can lead to just immense financial strain, serious legal trouble, and really deep personal consequences for these stars.
All playing out under the microscope of millions of viewers.
And in doing so, the Real Housewives franchises, with their portrayals of extreme aspiration, followed often by dramatic downfall, They act as this kind of distorted mirror, don't they?
A reflection and an influence, as one source said, on our own collective relationship to wealth, to crime, to public image.
And even to the perception and validation of women in our culture.
It really is like a funhouse mirror, exaggerating everything, often warping our sense of what's normal or achievable.
Which raises a final, maybe slightly unsettling question for you, the listener, to think about. How do these carefully curated, often financially precarious realities subtly shape our own perceptions?
Our ideas about success, lifestyle, even accountability.
Yeah. And is all the drama and attention generated by criminal activity or massive financial scandals on these shows? Is it inadvertently normalizing that kind of behavior for the wealthy?
While maybe setting a completely different, harsher standard for everyone else?
It really challenges us, I think, to give ourselves a true reality check whenever we consume pop culture like this, to always question what might be lurking beneath the shiny surface.
What are we really aspiring to? And what's the potential cost, both for the people on screen and maybe, in some small way, for ourselves?
Definitely something to mull over.
Until our next deep dive.